Grace and peace. This is Bishop Wilson bringing you another module for the Ecclesia Episcopal College. I believe that this module is going to really help you as a leader, help you as an individual, and dealing with other people, dealing with individuals that you may have to lead and may have to work with. This particular lesson is called the Pygmalion Effect. You may have heard me teach it on Facebook, but I wanted to bring it back just for this specific module. And if you're a leader or a manager or an elder or pastor of any type, the Pygmalion Effect can be the key that can really transform your leadership style and make it more effective. And everyone, if you're a leader, you should desire to want to be effective. If you want to increase your ability to influence people, that's what the gospel is. The gospel is the ability to influence people to come to Christ. But a lot of times after we get people and we're trying to lead and to guide them, we don't have the influence or the ability to influence other people to give their very best. Then and you've got to learn this. You need to understand that when we talk about the Pygmalion Effect, and we're going to go into in depth and talk about what it means, influencing people starts first with you. It does not start with them. The Pygmalion Effect deals with your perspective and expectation of yourself first, and those that you lead. If you have people on your team that you have a low expectation of, then that in and of itself can lead to a decrease in that particular person's performance. Now, we've heard it said, you're going to get from people exactly what you believe that you're going to get out of them. I often say this, and I'm really big on this. I've never seen a bad child, but I have seen children that have been given wrong instruction or been allowed to do things that they shouldn't do, and then it reflects back on them. But the real thing is who was leading, And when it comes down to leadership, it all falls back to the leader. The Pygmalion Effect deals with your perspective and your expectation of yourself. Do you expect to be a good leader? Do you have an expectation for yourself that you set high standards for yourself? So it's your expectation of yourself, it's your perception of yourself, and it's your perception and your expectation of other people. If you have a low expectation and a low belief in a certain person, then it will affect that person's ability to perform at the level that they may need to and that you desire them to. Now, on the other hand, if you have people on your team and you have high expectations for them and you place that high expectation, see, when you have people with low expectation, you're not going to place an expectation on them. You're going to call yourself trying to help them when you're really hurting them. But when you have a person that you have a high expectation of, you place those high expectations on them to perform. And what happens is you see them increase. We see them do better. Now, it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. The Pygmalion Effect is like that. It's just a self-fulfilling prophecy. Whatever you believe about a person will influence the impact and impact the outcome that you get from the individual. Please understand, your perception of the person is the determining factor. You've got to understand that. People will always live up to your belief in them. If you have low expectation and low belief in them, then they're not going to do anything above what you place, that demand that you place on them. Listen, let's talk about this cycle of influence just for a moment. The cycle of influence goes like this: our belief about others. Then we have the influence that our belief about them influences our actions towards the other person. Let me say that so we all have clarity. Our belief about others will influence our actions towards other people, which then impacts how the other person feels about themselves, If I'm talking down to you, if I'm degrading you, then it's going to affect how you feel about yourself. If I'm encouraging you and I'm building you up, and even things that you think that you can't do, I'm encouraging you, then it's going to make you feel good about yourself. Now, what does that do? What does that do? That influences the other person's actions toward you and towards themselves. I can do this. Pastor believes in me. Overseer believes in me. My brother, my sister believes in me. So it influences their actions back towards you. They want to live up to your expectations. Guess what happens? Their actions toward us then reinforces our belief in them. In other words, when we see them trying, we'll say, that's it. That's it. Just keep trying. You're going to be able to make it. So now let's look at this. I wanted to be able to show you this diagram so that you could see this played out. Our actions towards others impacts the others' belief about us and about themselves, if I may add, which causes the others' actions towards us, which reinforces our belief about them, and the cycle continues. If we have low expectation of people, it's going to affect how they believe about themselves and how they interact with us, which will reinforce what we believe. Same is true if we have high expectations for that person, we believe in that person believes in themselves, they want to live up to our expectation, that builds their belief, which comes back around, and now it reinforces the very belief that we have about them. So we've got to understand that this is a cycle. This is a cycle that plays out in leadership. It plays out with your children. It plays out with people on your job. And you've got to understand that a lot of it deals with your perception. How do you view those people? As a leader, you are responsible for your perception of others. And you're also responsible for your perception of yourself. Your perception of a person could be, they can't handle that. That's a little bit too much for them. Now, that doesn't seem to be negative. It seems like you're really trying to look out for the person's well-being. That's what it sounds like. However, in reality, your limited belief in them will also limit their future performance and their ability to learn and to grow. Now, there was a study that was done. There was a principal at a high school that took, I think it was, let me make sure here, he took 10 average teachers. And he told them that they were great teachers, that he had looked at their performance and that they were great teachers. He also took 10 average students, told them that they were great. They told the teachers, because you're great, we're going to give you our best and brightest students to teach this school years. At the end of the school year, the average students were doing above average work. Now, of course, the teachers were very happy. The teachers were ecstatic. They came back, they were talking with the principal, and of course, you know, they were popping their collars because they thought that it was because they were great teachers. The principal let them know, you're not great teachers. You're average teachers. But you believed what I was saying about you, and it influenced the way that you handled the students that were given to you. We told the students that they were great, but they were just average. And they believed what we said about them, and they lived up to our expectation. The difference was in what the teachers believed about themselves and also what they believed about the students. I'll conclude with this. Your desire to be a great teacher, your desire to be a great minister, your desire to be a great elder, great pastor, great supervisor, great bishop, starts with taking self-inventory. Ask yourself, how is my self-esteem? How do I see myself? These are questions that you've got to take time and you've got to answer yourself. You got to be honest with yourself. Then make a list of all the people that you lead or that you know that you have an influence in their life, and be honest about how you feel about each one of those persons. And if you find that there's anyone on your list that you have negative feelings about, then so for the benefit of yourself, for the benefit of that individual, and for the benefit of the team, if it's a team environment, get with that person and work through those differences. Find out what it is that you can work through so that you can change your perception of that individual. So many times we don't like people because we don't know them. We don't take the time to get to know why they are the way they are. And we make up our own perception about them. And our perception about them influences how we interact with them. How we interact with them determines how they interact back with us, which reinforces what we believe. Your thoughts towards one person can affect their actions, and their actions certainly can affect the whole team, the whole church, the whole workplace, wherever you're implementing these particular leadership skills. So listen, this is Coach Martin Wilson, the Pygmalion Effect. I hope that you've enjoyed this. I hope that this will help you as a leader. The subtopic for this particular lesson is communicating high expectations to the people that you lead. Until next time, God bless.